Hi, welcome to Torah Talk with Tamar. I'm Tamar, and on today's episode, I will be installing my bee box and feeding the bees to help them settle in for the first time. Hi, I'm Tamar. I'm a scholar of the Hebrew Bible, a writer, and a homeschooling, homesteading, home birthing, Torah keeping, widowed mother of 7. Together, we live in the southern Appalachian, Southwest Virginia region of the United States, where I keep sheep, grow crops, and cook our meals from scratch, together with my 5 boys and 2 girls. Welcome to my channel. Honey is a biblical form of sweetener. All throughout the Hebrew Bible, there are references to honey being used as a sweetener. It is a food that is very ancient as the Torah. We are told in the Hebrew Bible that if we eat something sweet, to do it in moderation, and particularly honey. There are countless stories of the Hebrew Israelites eating honey, and of course the Promised Land was a land flowing with milk and honey. Honey is a blessing, and we're hoping to bring that blessing to our homestead here in Appalachia. We got our bees home, and if you can see in here, we've got it. No, it's difficult to see, but there is a net stapled over the hole so they couldn't get out, and we used a ratchet strap so we didn't lose the bees in transport. I had a wonderful lady sell me these bees. I'm really trying to get a good shot of them, but they're trying to breach the net to do their thing. She was very helpful, and she taught me a lot while transferring the bees. I'm so grateful for that. So now we're going to pick these up and put them on the cinder block. So for about the first week, I'm going to focus on building the colony by feeding them sugar water, which was recommended by the other beekeeper. And this is the great thing about networking with other homesteaders, giving you all these nuggets of advice. I just love it. Awesome. So we got our box here in place, and the bees are inside. The beekeeper I bought these from suggested that I staple gun the net and then just let them out a little, because as they're building the colony, I'm still trying to catch my breath walking. So we got it set up on the cinder blocks, caught my breath, and my wonderful son, who was so helpful on the homestead, it's such a blessing to have sons, got the ratchet straps to set it up and secure it. What's your shirt?
They come out, we're dead.
Stains over the other side.
We are dead if they come out.
You want stains or backwards shirt?
Well, I'm gonna stand back. I'm standing back just in case they bust it.
We secured the bee box in case there were any strong winds or large animals that might knock it over. And this is in a space in the back of the garden, in the back of the property, where we had a number of flowers. And since the bees have been there, we have seen the flowers grow in abundance. It's been really wonderful. The first day that they were here, I had the netting on so that they would get acclimated to know exactly where they were. And through this small space, the bees were able to come in and out and slowly learn where their new home was. Before there were a lot of flowers blooming, we decided to nurture them with some sugar water, which I made at home, and I had to make a few rounds of that. Put the lid back on, give it a shake, and go outside to give that to the bees. Here I am in my bee suit. Part of the process is learning to take off the ratchet straps with the bee gloves on, which has become something that I've had to become accustomed to doing, and also removing the lid without squishing any bees. I generally take the lid off very slowly as to avoid crunching any bees, and I was advised by the other beekeeper to feed the bees the sugar water on the inside through the top excluder, and getting that removed from the top lid was a little bit of a struggle, mostly because the kind of bee box that I had came with wax and it made it a little bit sticky, but I was able and managed to separate those. Another struggle I've had in getting this process down to an art is bees in my bonnet. I purchased a general bonnet available through a major retailer, and even though I've secured the hat a few times, they've gotten up there, and I've even been stung once in the face, but I figure it's part of the process, and in the end, it'll be worth it. Sometimes the bees are a little bit aggressive, and it does interrupt my work, so I just have to step to the side and deal with that. But I do have another hat that attaches to this outfit, and I am learning to finesse the zipper on when I'm crunched for time. It's not the easiest, but it is something that you learn as a skill over time, just as with anything. The bees are fed, and now I'm going to put the lid back on with the goal of minimizing the number of bees that are crunched in the lid. I started by wiping the edge a little bit of the bees without trying to get stung, and really sometimes you just have to decide what the level of threat is for being stung versus am I willing to sacrifice a few bees when I shut the lid. Another thing I did in the early days was begin to remove the netting. In fact, I did this within about 2 days. The netting had to be there for the first day or so because they didn't know where exactly they were, and I was advised by the other beekeeper to leave it on. And then I began to remove it so that they could begin to harvest flowers on their own that had already bloomed on the property. I put some additional sugar water on the top of the bee box and in front of the ledge where they fly in and out to make it easy for them while they found flowers. This is day 2 when I've removed the net covering just a bit so they can get more acclimated, and I haven't fully removed it yet. The bees look like they're doing well and being productive, so far I'm pleased that their transition from another homestead to mine has gone well, and that the transport didn't cause them so much stress that the colony collapsed. So far, so good. So I came back out to fully remove the netting because I noticed there was a number of dead bees that were collecting near the front. This time I really made sure that I used the other bonnet, but I'm still struggling with zipping it up, so I took a little bit of risk, but fortunately did not get stung. I cleaned out the dead bees that I found, although it's normal for every bee box to have a number of bees that die every day, but it was time because of the amount that I noticed to completely remove the net covering and give them the ability to establish GPS for themselves, so to speak, of where they were and help them learn to navigate where the flowers were and build their own sustainability as a colony. The final step in them making a transition was to make sure that the queen had come out of her cage and that she was integrated into the box. So I opened the box on about day 4 to make sure they had eaten their way through the sugar coating cap on the queen cage and that she was snug inside there and that I could remove the cage. Again, this took some finessing of the ratchet straps, which is sort of a skill in itself, learning to do that, especially with the gloves on, so that you don't get stung. Once I was certain that the queen was snug, I went ahead and added the second layer to the bee box on the right, which was our first box. We also installed a second box, which was a larger colony of about 700 bees. I had hoped that bringing back a colony that was farther along in its establishment would result in more honey sooner. However, it was very difficult to handle a colony of that size when it came to trying to get the queen cage out of the colony. Overall, I'm still very excited that by late spring next year, we should have a handful of honey that we can harvest. Right now, I'm working on building up the boxes so that the bees have enough honey for themselves to live and survive through the winter. That will be the task, to get these bees to survive through the winter and then into spring where they can create excess honey for us to harvest. It is an investment and it is a time process to get to that point, but it's so worth it if it goes well. And here's to hoping for the best. Shalom. Thanks for tuning in to Torah Talk with Tamar and joining me in our journey as we establish bees on our homestead and the blessing of honey. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Shalom.